So there's this dude, he's a social media influencer, larger than me, who has become renowned for being like Sieg Heiling, Hitler-loving Nazi. And there's a news report on the guy. He lives in Tennessee, so like this Tennessee local news channel did a piece on him. Check this out.
He is a Hitler-loving podcaster on a mission to convince young Christian men to hate, all in the name of God. And it turns out he calls Tennessee home.
Tonight, you will meet that controversial figure who critics worry is leading a lot of young men across the country down a treacherous path. He sat down for a one-on-one interview with News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams, who has been confronting the hate in our state for almost 2 years now.
Phil is with us now. And Phil, this is a very different character from the neo-Nazi white supremacists you've previously confronted, right?
Definitely different in tone in how he presents himself. Corey Mahler portrays himself as an intellectual and as a theologian. Still, as you're about.
I mean, a lot of them do that. I'm not sure which neo-Nazis he's been talking to. You know, there's like this neo-Nazi heritage in the United States. I read this whole big book about it, basically. There's a guy named George Lincoln Rockwell, aka Lincoln Rockwell, came around after World War II had already ended, I think the 50s and 60s, and he popularized this belief system and eventually passed down the reins to a guy that called himself William Luther Pierce. And William Luther Pierce is probably most famous for having written the Turner Diaries, if you're familiar with that. I did a video on it. It's called The Most Dangerous Book in the World. Teaches you how to make bombs and stuff, and it's this neo-Nazi, apocalyptic. They take control of the United States and launch nukes and everything. Anyway, Lincoln Rockwell down to William Luther Pierce, they very much picked up the banner after Hitler died and continued to spread neo-Nazi beliefs through the country. And as a matter of fact, I believe Lincoln Rockwell ran for president, and he tried to form out the America Party. 100% real. The America Party. If that sounds familiar, you may recognize it as Elon Musk's political party that he just started. Anyway, Lincoln Rockwell was also a conspiracy theorist who believed that Nazis escaped escaped Germany to Antarctica, as well as Argentina, as they did, and to a bunch of other places. He thinks that one of those destinations was Antarctica, and there are caves there that they were living in and kind of rebuilding. It's called the Last Battalion Conspiracy. And he thinks that UFOs are actually Nazi weapons, like Nazi, advanced weaponry that they brought with them when Germany fell. And that all the UFOs and abductions, it's all Nazis from Antarctica trying to get intel on their enemy. I mean, it's wild. Anyway, when the Nazi party moved over here from Germany, Germany was a very, very religious place. 95% Christian, 3.5% quote unquote believe in God, 1.5% atheist. And the Nazis were Christian, almost exclusively. It was the ones that were not Catholic were a denomination, or they were Lutheran, basically. They were kind of a subset of Lutheran. There was a Nazi denomination called the German Christians. They were going to call themselves the Christian nationalists, but Hitler decided German Christian is better. Anyway, as you'll see in a second, this guy that we're going to talk about, he's Lutheran. I find that particularly interesting. But when it came over to the United States from Germany, the U.S. was a less religious place than Germany was at the time. And the Nazi movement here decided to throw off the Jewish influence, basically. They decided to embrace paganism entirely. And they take part in, they're like motorcycle gangs and things like that. That's probably the perception that a lot of people have of Nazis today, is tough motorcycle gang, pagan assholes who are violent and hateful and everything else. But That's not really what the Nazi movement is in the United States anymore, certainly. For a long time now, it's been predominantly Catholic and very, some Lutherans, of course, very Christian, very white nationalist. The old KKK basically picked up the Nazi banner and ran with it. And that's what we're looking at with this, or that's what we're going to listen to with this guy in a second.
To see his hate is not so different from the hate of the KKK.
I moved back to where my family is from. I'm happy to live here.
From here in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains in historic Blount County, a 39-year-old Tennessee man is waging a battle for the heart and soul of the American Protestant Church, a church that in his view should teach not just about a God of love, but also a God of hate.
Slavery isn't outlawed in Scripture. It can't be. God doesn't change. God says it's permissible in the Old Testament.
His
Hey, fair enough. God is a scumbag in the Bible, yeah?
Bible-quoting podcast has sparked intense online debate in conservative Christian circles.
Title of the article here is, he believes, Corey Mahler believes Hitler went to heaven and wants to take over the Lutheran Church.
About his growing
Again, the Lutheran Church was the church of the Nazi Party. Hitler persecuted Catholics for a while, not forever. I mean, they got along pretty well for a while there too, but the Lutheran Church was completely taken over by Nazism, which makes sense because Lutheranism started right there in Germany with Martin Luther in 1517 or whatever.
And wants to take over the Lutheran Church.
About his growing influence.
I don't talk about Stone Choir because I don't talk about Stone Choir. I don't think they're a big problem
Among young Christian men.
The reason we're having to address it is because we're seeing it in our churches.
And according to some, his threat to the church.
And he is one of the most dangerous people on the planet and the biggest threat to confessional Lutheranism that I see.
One of the most dangerous people on the planet.
We're somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 listeners right now.
Per episode.
That's actually crazy. I would put him at 700,000 or 800,000 subbies with those types of numbers, maybe, possibly more.
Mahler's Stone Choir podcast is by his own admission aimed at hooking impressionable young men.
And if you want to influence society, you want to influence young men.
And that is your goal, is to
That is absolutely
push young men further and further to the right.
our goal. Is
Okay, were the Confederates blue or gray uniforms? They were blue, weren't they? Oh, they were gray. Never mind.
to push young men to become actual Christians.
Part of Mahler's idea of being an actual Christian, the notion expressed in this tweet that Jesus Christ is Lord and Adolf Hitler is his faithful servant. You are an avowed racist.
Yes.
You are an anti-Semite. You hate Jews.
I wouldn't say that I hate Jews.
You think Jews are the enemy.
I think that religious Jews are certainly the enemy.
You think democracy is evil.
Correct.
You are a fascist.
Yes.
And unlike most Americans who honor the sacrifices of the brave men who died on the European battlefields, instead of memorializing the dead,
We don't have video footage of Normandy, do we? That was a recreation, wasn't it? I'm just curious now. Let's see. Oh, we do have authentic moving image footage of D-Day. Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, damn. I want to see this. Wait, let's see. Was that the footage?
June 4th, 1944.
Oop.
The men of the armies marched toward the southern ports.
Wow, dude, that's nuts.
Overwhelming.
These people, by and large,
naval
going to their deaths.
vessels, from battleships to PT boats, guarded the convoy across the channel and embarked. Close at hand. Just job easy.
Hold on, I'm just looking for them, like, exiting the... Wait, is this it? I'm not sure what this
German
is.
fire brought down Allied
Oh,
soldiers,
wow.
but others kept on.
Wow, dude, that's crazy.
Craft sank in the rough sea, and many rescues were effected.
Yeah, people just falling off, just dying, being shot to The Germans had these things called pillboxes. I studied World War II extensively because I wrote a book, Was Hitler an Atheist? Amazon and Audible, check it out. But you know what? Since I'm thinking of it, I'm going to add some shopping options too. I just added new products, by the by, to my store, if you guys want to check that out. I have everything in shirt, hat, and mug form. So I'm just going to add random items. My favorite is the Holy Ghosted mug. I really like that one a lot. As I was saying, check out my book if you want to learn more about this, whole story. But the Germans had pillboxes built into the side of a mountain, a big concrete, fortifications, and they had these guns that you had to have you had to be very careful with how you pulled the trigger, because if you held the trigger in for too long, it would fire as many rounds as you wanted, but the barrel would literally melt. It would turn red hot and then white hot, and it would just fall off. And it was absolutely worthless at that point. So the Germans are standing there, firing these guns and just mowing people down. They had these hedgehogs, these giant 3-foot tall, metal things to trap boats and make it, scrape the bottom of them. But it was low tide, so the hedgehogs were visible. And people were, they hop out of the boats, they hide behind the hedgehogs until the guy in the pillbox had to stop firing because his gun's going to melt down. And then they advance. And they were just picking people off left and right. It was like a coin flip if they were going to survive. You can see it in this video, people falling. They're just, one guy gets hit and the other keeps on running. It was absolutely insane. See, these people are being shot and falling off the boat. The point is that we went through this once already. This war with Nazis. We already went through this. This is actually genuine footage, if I had to guess. We went through this once already, and here we are. A lot of our grandparents would be horrified by what's happening in the U.S. right now.
And unlike most Americans who honor the sacrifices of the brave men who died on the European battlefields, instead of memorializing the dead, Mahler argues the overwhelming majority of those who died on the Allied side in World War II are in hell. You think Hitler was a man of God who is in paradise?
That is correct.
And you think every Jew that Hitler killed is in hell?
If he was a practicing Jew.
As for the well-documented historical horror of the Holocaust, Mahler calls it an anti-German blood libel. If you believe that Hitler...
Blood libel is the claim that Jews eat babies. And this is circulated in atheist circles too. Atheists eat babies. People make this claim about all kinds of groups that they don't like. But it's unique with Jews because they being Tsarist Russia and Germany and a bunch of other European countries and the United States, people all over the world have claimed that they're putting babies in matzo ball soup and stuff for 500 years or more. It's the same tired claims repeated over and over. That's blood libel. And he says it's blood libel against Germans that the Holocaust happened. That is just disgusting.
Blood libel. If you believe that Hitler did kill millions of Jews, would you have a problem with that?
I don't believe that he did.
If he did, would you have a problem with it?
Of course he wouldn't. Come on, be honest about your beliefs, buddy. Just tell us.
I don't have a problem with genocide per se, and I can't as a Christian, because God commanded it in the Old Testament of the Canaanites.
Okay, but did God command the genocide of Jewish people? Because I think you got to be selective about the genocides that you accept, right? Okay, as a Christian, I understand you want to accept the Canaanite one. I don't. I think that's disgusting. But that doesn't mean you should accept every one of them. What?
Hitler was right!
It's a message not unlike the neo-Nazis we've confronted on Nashville streets, or even members of the Ku Klux Klan who once operated in the backwoods of the Old South. What's the difference between you and an uneducated guy in a white robe and hood?
Well, I would have...
Well, I'm educated. Right?
Object to say that those men were necessarily uneducated.
I knew he was going to say it. I'm educated. That's the difference.
Necessarily uneducated. There were many members of the KKK who were certainly quite educated.
The fringe guy like Corey Mahler, what he ends up doing is creating space for the slightly less radical people to push their radicalism and have it look normal by comparison, thus normalizing their arguments.
Yep. Also, I find it interesting his name is Mahler, Mahler. The leader of the Nazi church was named Ludwig Müller, or something to that effect, Muller, with the little umlaut above the U. Ludwig Müller is how we would say it in American, but he controlled the Nazi denomination, the German Christians, the Christian nationalists, and made a complete mess out of everything. I just think it's really fascinating that this guy's name is so close.
James Lindsay is a conservative commentator who has drawn criticism for his critique of the so-called woke left, more recently setting his sights on what he dubbed the woke right. He says it would be a mistake to dismiss Mahler as just being a fringe character.
The fringe doesn't always stay the fringe. The fringe can, in fact, very radically and very quickly become a major force in society.
Absolutely. That's what happened in Germany. It was like that.
You're a Christian nationalist? Correct. As Mahler imagines it, America needs a Hitler-like figure, a so-called Christian prince, to get elected and then seize power to impose a Christian nationalist government.
I think that, that's what we're seeing. Honestly.
The leader, he argues, will necessarily be either Lutheran or Presbyterian. Baptist, he admitted, need not apply.
I find it so fascinating that he says Lutheran or Presbyterian, because those are basically the two denominations in Germany in World War II era. It wasn't Presbyterian. It was called the Reformed Church, and it was the predecessor of Presbyterian. It was Calvinist. Like in the 1500s, I think like 1517, Martin Luther creates Lutheranism effectively, or created the split anyway. John Calvin comes along, or whatever, and around 1530 creates Reformed Church, which believes in predestination and everything. And the two denominations operated in that area together for so long that they started working closely together, and even created a third denomination called United Churches, where they're a combination of the two of them. So I find it so interesting that he's in favor of either Lutheran or Presbyterian. This is like somebody who understands German religious history very, very well is the only, those are the only people that would understand what subtext he's laying down here.
Presbyterian. Baptist, he admitted, need not apply.
I think that a lot of Baptists do not read the scripture and believe what they've read.
Yeah, and they would have no place in a Christian nationalist government.
In the government, yes.
Mahler would also draw...
But they'd be allowed to live here. Other people, on the other hand, Muslims, no. I guess not in his worldview, right?
Yes.
Mahler would also drive every person of color out of the country, even if they are American citizens, arguing that we should make America white again. The United States is a constitutional republic. Where in the Constitution does it say that it's for whites only?
It doesn't, but that's why he wants to repeal the Constitution and put in autocracy, of course. It's so disturbing to listen to people be so open about this.
If you go back to the interest of the founding fathers, and their intent is for us and for our posterity. Well, posterity is blood.
Does it say that in the Constitution?
It doesn't currently say that, but that's a fundamental problem with the Constitution. Are blacks intellectually and morally inferior? Yes.
Part of Mahler's technique, we discovered, is to condescendingly spout supposed facts that support his views about black crime, for example, while dismissing others that don't. And overwhelmingly, those responsible for sexually assaulting children are white men. Why don't you talk about white male crime?
Those data are actually inaccurate.
Oh, yeah. How convenient, huh? Everything that you disagree with is just inaccurate. It's not that you are factually wrong. Everybody else has to be lying, right? Okay.
Look at the...
So you believe nothing that doesn't confirm your views?
No, if you look at the per capita rate, the difference is that I actually look at the statistics.
Uh-huh.
And I run the statistical analysis myself.
Studies that disagree with your viewpoint.
God has set the rules. God plays by the rules.
Mahler, in fact, never seems to doubt his own intellectual superiority, especially when it comes to his claims about Jews that are built on the flimsiest of foundations.
Jews who are practicing Jews pray multiple times a day to curse Christians.
Oh, come on.
I have lots of Jewish friends. They do not curse Christians.
Well, they don't tell you they curse Christians.
Oh, it's a secret. Yeah, okay, got it. It's a secret. Okay. So what he's saying really here is that Jews secretly actually despise Christians and hate them and are disgusted by them and hope that they die. That's secretly what they think, and they won't tell you that. They'll just be your best friend for your whole life. You know, grow up with you, go to school with you, get married, you know, in the same, like, you live in the same neighborhood and all that other stuff. But secretly, they're cursing you, right?
Come on.
Part of the Jewish religion is also to lie about the Jewish religion.
Which was a lot like his claims that Jews owned the pornography industry and wielded it as a weapon against whites, particularly white Christians.
Yeah.
You blame Jews for that?
Yes, they admit that.
Hugh Hefner was raised Methodist.
Sure.
Larry Flint, who produced some very vile pornography, was raised Pentecostal.
Sure.
Larry Flint. I don't know that name. He's an American publisher and founder of Hustler magazine. Oh, okay. He made Hustler. I see. Starting in 1974. Interesting. He's also a First Amendment crusader and controversy magnet. Often published exposés of conservative politicians involved in scandal, targeting hypocrisy in public life, and used checkbook journalism to expose them. Not sure what checkbook journalism is, but I'm actually a huge fan of that. His outspokenness and business methods made him both polarizing and an unlikely civil liberties icon. Okay, cool. I like it.
Sure. So why are you not willing to look at the role of other groups in pornography?
Look at what the Jews themselves say in their own papers. They proudly say that they are behind pornography and that they push it because they hate God.
What are you talking about? Who are you referring to? Who is they? Are they in the room with us right now? For real? Do you think there's some amorphous group, some ambiguous secret cabal behind closed doors that are like planning the downfall of white people or something?
That is just not true.
I can get you the article. Obviously, I don't have it on me. I didn't print it, but that is literally a quote from a Jew.
Okay, now from a Jew, he said. Okay, interesting. One more time. Let's see if we can find it. No, that claim is false. There is no credible evidence that Jews as a group are behind adult entertainment out of hatred for God. This claim relies on bigoted generalizations and misrepresentations, individual actions as representative of an entire group. Many people in the adult industry, including executives, performers, and consumers, come from a wide range of ethnicities and religions. So where did it come from? Far-right publications and white nationalist tracts like those from Kevin MacDonald, which is, I was talking about him earlier, William Luther Pierce. That's actually who that is. It was a pen name. Kevin MacDonald's his name, I believe. David Duke and E. Michael Jones, all of whom pushed the idea of Jewish control over media and moral decay. Some Jewish individuals were involved in the early Hollywood and adult film industries, often because their industries were closed to immigrants or minority groups, but there's no secret plot, religious hatred, or coordinated intent. It's delusion. So I would love to have this supposed quote he has for me. Can't even give me the name.
Because they hate God.
That is just not true.
I can get you the article. Obviously, I don't have it on me. I didn't print it, but that is literally a quote from a Jew.
A Jew.
Yes, of course. Well, if you're talking about
from a Jew, then you're going to
if you're talking about a quote, it's obviously from one man. They don't all speak with the same head. They're not a hydra in that sense.
In that sense, he says.
And yet there he was making an argument based on a quote that he later attributed to a single Jewish pornographer, Al Goldstein, a self-proclaimed atheist, claiming he was speaking for all Jews, while also ignoring, for example, the extraordinary number of Jewish Nobel Prize winners who have been honored for their contributions to humanity. And yet, you say...
Look, the problem is that he believes or claims that there is a network of Jews that are working together to destroy humanity. And the reason he believes that is for the same reason Hitler believed it, because they think that there's something in the blood, something inferior, that even if you appear to be a good person, you aren't, you cannot be, because you are just genetically predisposed to being an evil person. That's the claim when it all boils down to it. It's not just anti-Semitism. This is full-blown Nazi ideology and even Nazi religious belief.
Our enemies are ontologically evil. No means are morally impermissible in pursuit of exterminating them.
Sure.
I'm sorry. No, our enemies are ontologically evil. Yeah, right. Wow. That was funny timing. I just explained that. That's exactly what he claims. No means are morally impermissible in pursuit of exterminating them because they're ontologically evil. There is no good in them, in our enemies. They deserve to die because they are evil. And that's why you can be the best person on planet Earth in public, but if you have a Jewish grandparent, then you were considered non-Aryan in Germany at the time.
In pursuit of exterminating them.
Sure.
Perhaps most disturbing is Mahler's view that a future American Hitler would be justified in rounding up and exterminating Jews or any other peoples deemed to be the enemy.
My preferable means of exterminating any given enemy is converting him to Christ. Because in doing that, I have destroyed him as an enemy.
And if they don't, you're okay with killing them?
That would be war. And killing in war has always been something that Christians find permissible as long as the war itself is morally justified.
Corey Mahler is an evil man. He should be marked. He has been marked. We shouldn't be praising him for anything.
While conservative churches wrestle with Mahler's influence, the East Tennessee man continues to hearken back to a dark past.
Honestly, he's really not that much of a minority anymore. I mean, Nick Fuentes, gigantic. Millions of people listen to Nick Fuentes. And a ton of other people like that. Candace Owens has all the same beliefs effectively. These are not marked people. These are not outliers in the conservative party, I mean. There is a large subset of people that hold these beliefs.
Trying to convince young men that this should also be America's future. If viewers hear some of your viewpoints, why should they not conclude that your viewpoints are evil?
If men can formulate an argument that is based in God's word, that is sound, and that is against what I have said, then by all means, they should listen to God and not me.
2 years ago, Corey Mahler was
Jesus was not in favor of killing people and stuff.
Excommunicated from his home church of the Lutheran Church in Knoxville and accused of trying to tear apart his entire denomination, although he says he is still welcome to worship in another Lutheran church near his home in East Tennessee.
Having trouble finding words after watching that. But Phil, I wonder, after spending time with him, what is the sense you get about why he is attracting people, especially young men?
Well, first of all, as you saw there, he's very calm and comes across as studious. And he inundates you with so many claims of facts that it's difficult to slow him down long enough to dissect those claims.
Gish Gallop.
And that's why some pastors say they're just trying to get young men in their congregations to just take a break from listening to his podcast. Just turn him off.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, eye-opening indeed. Thank you. As we mentioned, this is part of Phil's ongoing investigation confronting hate in our state and in our communities. You can see Phil's other reports. Just go to newschannel5.com/hate.
Wow, man. That's absolutely wild. What was that again?
Newschannel5.com.
Newschannel5.com/hate. Okay. 5.com/hate. Oh, let's see. What do we got here? Hate comes to Main Street / QAnon comes to Main Street. Really? QAnon? We got QAnon videos? Anyway, yeah. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. That is wild, man.